In this video, I will share how to use VBA and Selenium for web scraping. And our target site for this content is greglist.com/Austin. You can find this table listing different companies with their information on this site. Our goal is to extract this data and transfer them to Excel. So first we will extract the company name, then we will extract all the LinkedIn links. Usually there are two links, but there are also records with more than two LinkedIn links. And our code should be flexible no matter how many LinkedIn links it finds. Next, we will extract the city, the employee details, and the type of funding details. Now let's go to Excel. I already have the worksheet formatted. I added some column name. So later we will transfer the data from the website to this Excel worksheet. I will also rename this worksheet result, and then I'll save this file. I'll just name this Greglist web scraping and select macro enabled workbook file type and save that to my documents folder. And open the VBA editor by pressing Alt F11. I'll start by creating a new module, and I will name this module Greglist Web Scraping as well. And next, let's add a reference to Selenium. So go to Tools, click References, and search for Selenium type library. So before you do it, make sure that you have Selenium installed in your machine as well as the latest or a webdriver that matches your browser version. So I will not cover the installation process in this video. I will paste a link in the description on how you can install Selenium. So going back here, after you select Selenium type library reference, just hit OK. In our module, let me add an option explicit first to make sure that we declare all the variable before we use them. Now let's create a private variable for our Selenium WebDriver. Since I will be using Chrome for this automation, I will be needing Chrome driver. And let's declare another variable for our worksheet. And let's create a sub procedure named main. And inside this procedure, let's set the worksheet variable equals to the worksheet name. And that is result. Let's also create a new procedure that will do the web scraping task. I will just name that web scrape. So later we will call this procedure from the main. Inside the procedure, let's start by creating a new instance of Chrome. So you can do that by using set and then use new selenium.chrome driver. Next, let's open Google Chrome. We can do that by using ch.start, and then let's navigate to the site, which is the Greglist site. So we can use ch.get to do that and use the website link as an argument for that function. Let's quickly test it to check if it works. Okay, so it opens the Chrome browser and navigate to the site. Next, we need to inspect the website and identify the necessary elements. Since right-click and inspect element is not working on this site, we can press F12 to open the developer options in Google Chrome. And we can use the select button to identify any element from our target table. I will just use this company name. So the source code shows that this list is under a section tag with an ID attribute, and that's a good element, and we can start from there. Next, we can see that each record is inside a div element with the same class company listing. So we can use that class and create a variable with a collection of elements. So let's do that now in VBA. So from here, let's declare a new variable named company listings as selenium that web elements with an S. This will hold the company listing collections. And then let's declare another variable named company as selenium that web element without an S. And we will use it later for looping through the collection. Next, let's set our company listing variable equals or using the section tag ID. So first let's find element by ID and then use the section ID, which is, where is the section tag? This one. Let's copy that and paste it here. And then inside that element, let's find set of elements or collection of elements by class. And we will be using the company listing class. Okay. Next, let's loop through the collection using the for each loop. So for each company in company listings, next company. So the company variable now represents each of the div elements. And the first item that we want to capture is the company name. So let's create a new variable named company name of type string. If we check the source code, we can see that this element is inside this div, another div, and another div. And in this kind of scenario, we can use element indexing. So the company variable is already pointing to the first div, which is this. And we can see inside this div that there is only one div element so that we can use indexed one. And inside this div, there are, or we can find three more divs. And our target element is within the first div, so we can again use indexed one. So in VBA, we can set the company name variable equals to the company element. And inside that element, we want to find all elements by tag, which is div, and use indexed one. And inside the element, we want again to find elements by tag and div, and again use indexed one. Then we can access the text property of the element. So test the code. Let's use debug.print to print the company name in the immediate window. So let me run. Okay, so let me press debug and show immediate window. So the code works if you check the immediate window, but we got an error because the index was out of bounds. If we debug our code and try to access the text property of the first find element, let's check this. Oh, sorry, let's access the text property, and here we can see that we get a result that means that this line is correct. Next, we try to include the next find element and access the text, and here's where we are getting the error. So this error means there could be no elements with a tag div inside the next find elements. And we can validate it by accessing the count property. So here we can use that count, and then if I press enter, the result shows 0. So to solve this issue, we can first validate using an if condition if the element has a children element or an index. So let me stop this for now. And then here we can add, oops, we can add an if condition using this selector and access the count. So if the count of elements is greater than 0, then we will perform this code. If not, it should process the next element. So let me remove the volume immediate window and try to run this code again. So now if I access the immediate window, we did not get an error, and all customer, let me confirm that the last customer is Babylon. Yeah, that's Babylon Health. So all customer names are now showing in the immediate window. Instead of printing the customer name in the immediate window, we can transfer these values to our Excel worksheet. But first, we need to know the next available row in our worksheet. So let's create a variable name last row of type long. And we want to set the value of that variable equals to the worksheet last row syntax. So we need to set that variable inside our for each loop. So last row is equals to the worksheet name, which is RSH, and then I will just use column A as reference, rows that count, that end, Excel lap, that row, and then we need to add one to get the next available row in that worksheet. And instead of using debug.print, we can replace it with RSH, which is our worksheet. And then since company name is in column A, we are using range A, and then concatenate the last row variable value and use the value equals to the company name. And we need to make sure to call the web scrape procedure from the main procedure because we are setting the worksheet variable from this procedure. Now we can test our code by running the main procedure. Now let me run this now to check. So once the code is completed, if we check our workbook, we can see all the customer name transferred in our result worksheet. Our next target items are the link-in links. So we can use the select item and point to a target element. And here in the source code, we can see that the element is under the div element with the class company listing, then another div, and another div of index 2. And inside this div, there are three span elements. And our target is within the second span, so we can use the span of index 2. And if we check this element, we can see that the link-in links are in the A or anchor tag. And since there are multiple links, we can again use a collection of elements to capture all of them. So here in VBA, let's start by creating a new variable named elements, selenium.web elements. So this variable will hold the collections of anchor element. Then let's create another variable named selenium.web element. And we will use this variable later for looping through the anchor collection. Let's also create a variable named link in links of type string. Then inside our for each loop, let me just add comment here that this next part are for the LinkedIn links. So here let's set the elements variable equals to the company variable, and within this variable we want to find elements by tag div of index 1, similar to what we did on the company name. Then again we want to find elements by tag of div, but this time we will be using index 2, and then find elements by tag, this time using span of index 2. And lastly, let's find elements by tag using the anchor element. Next, let's loop through the elements collection using another for each loop. So for each element in elements, next element, and let's concatenate all the link result to the link in links variable. So we can set link in links variable equals to the link in links variable, and concatenate that to lm that attribute href, and then let's add new line so that the next link in links will go to the next line. So here our element represents all each of the anchor tag element, and what we are doing here is we are accessing the attribute property of href, which contains the link in links. And after getting all the links, we can add the value to column based worksheet. So we can do that outside of this for each loop by using the worksheet name and then range B, because that's our link in link column, and then concatenate the last row variable. That value is equals to link in links. And here let's make sure that we are clearing the LinkedIn links every time it processes a new company. So here let's say LinkedIn links is equals to null. Okay. And before testing, I think it would be better if we add a code that clears the worksheet content. So here in our worksheet, we can highlight the worksheet range. So I'll start here and then Control Shift arrow down up to the last row, and then I will name this range clear result. And then in VBA, in the main procedure, to clear that range, I will use the worksheet and then range clear result, which is the name that I use, and then use clear contents, so that before we transfer a new set of data to our worksheet, it's already cleared. So now we can test this code to check. So click run. Now it's completed. Let's check the worksheet. So here we can see that we have now both the company and the LinkedIn links. And here we can notice that there are some records with two LinkedIn links, some with more than two, and our code was able to process that. For the city, employee, and type of funds details, these elements are inside the span element of index 3. And inside the element, we can see that there are three anchor tag elements. And the first A element is for the city, the second A element is for the employee, and the last A element is for the type of fund. So here in BVA, let's declare a variable for the city of type string, employee of type string, and funds of type, of type string. For the city variable, We can copy the same syntax as how we get the collection of linking links. So let me copy this. And in the syntax, we need to change the span to index 3. And we also need to add an index of 1 to the A elements. And then access its text property. So we can copy the same syntax for the employee variable. I'll just add some comment here. Employee is equals to same syntax. And use the element index to 2 for the anchor element. And for the fonts, let me just copy this. We just need to change the um, anchor element index to 3 because that's the third A element. And next we can transfer these values to the worksheet. So transfer values to worksheet. So the city will go on column A, so RSH that range C, and then again concatenate last row that value is equals to city. Next is column D for the employee, and then column E for the funds details. And at the end of the loop, we should close the browser and show a message box indicating the complete process. So we can do that by using ch.close for closing the browser. And then let's add a message box saying process completed. Let's just add some information icon and let's add a title web scraping. Now let's quickly test to check if this code works. Again, we need to run it from the main procedure. And after the scraping is completed, we can see that it automatically closed the browser and give us a message box saying that process is completed. And here in our worksheet, we can see that we all have now the details from the website, including the city, the employee, and the funding details. Right now, our program only extract data from this page. If we scroll down below, we can see that this list spans multiple pages and we want to capture all the details from all the pages. So if we inspect the source code, we see these pages are link elements under a UL element with an ID of company pagination. Then inside that elements are the collection of list or li elements. So we can count the number of li element first and then we can create a for next loop. So here in our VBA code, let's add that after navigating to the website. So here I'll just put the comment again and then let's declare a variable name pages as long and then let's set that variable equals to the find element by ID. So let's use the ULID, which is this one. And then inside that element, let's find elements by tag, which are the LI element. And then we need to access the count property so that we will know how many pages or how many LI elements are there in the pagination. Next, let's declare a variable a as integer, or maybe we can also use it as a long variable. And we will use this variable as a counter. Next, let's create a for next loop. So for a, and initialize the counter variable to 1, then loop to all the page elements. So that's our pages variable. And by default, we are already on page 1 after navigating to the site. So we can add a condition inside the loop that checks the variable counter value. So if a is greater than 1, then if the variable is greater than 1, we can perform a click action to click the next page using the same selector. So let me just copy this and then paste that here. Let me just add some comment, and then here we want to access the index of the li that we want to click, so we can use our counter a variable and then use the click function. And to scrape each page's data, we can move the web scraping code inside uh, this loop. So here, let's add some space here, and then let's copy the code from here until the next company. So let's cut that and then paste that here. So let me just highlight that block of code again and then press tab so that I can align those codes. So now let me close this immediate window. Let's test to see if this is still working. So again, we need to run it from the main procedure. So run. So here we can see that the program is navigating to the following pages and extract the company listing details per page. Okay, so after the program, the window closes and again show us a message box saying that the process is complete. So here we can see the total number of items scraped from the website. So we have a total of 902 because row 1 is our header. And you can download this code from my website, codingmodule.com. I will put the link in the description of this window. So please hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful.